Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good night. Wherever and whenever you're listening to this, welcome to the Town Hall. Today we're writing the Town Hall number 52. I'm One Clue, your host. I'm happy to be here. And with me today on stage again is Scott. Hey Scott, how are you?
Dude, I'm doing really good. Doing fantastic.
How
Happy to be
was
here.
how was your trip to the Southern American soil?
Well, it's it was cold. It was very cold. It's
Well,
actually not any further south than where I live. It's sort of just west of where I live. But yeah, it was cold. Uh, I went to the Nashville Energy and Mining Summit in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. Uh, this is my third time going to this event. It's pretty rad. Um, Lots of cool people there. Lots of good talks. I guess it's all off the record, but yeah, needless to say, we talked a lot about mining, and I was excited to see open source mining was is starting to take more and more of center stage there, which is always encouraging to see. I
one
got some.
thing, sorry for interrupting you here really quick, but I was confused for a second to see nice hash pointing hash rate over to you.
Yes. So for those who don't know, um, we started this last year, but the on the day before the Nashville Energy and Mining Summit starts, we've been doing the Telehash. The Telehash is a fundraiser for the 256 Foundation, which is, if you don't know, is a pretty excellent nonprofit set up to support open source Bitcoin mining development, dismantling the proprietary mining empire. And so we've been doing this fundraising where we try and get people to point hash rate, all towards the foundation's wallet address in the hopes that we solo mine a block. And the telehash last year, we actually did solve a block, which was pretty wild. And so that funded a bunch of projects out of the 256 Foundation, like Ember One, Mujina firmware, Hydropool, and the Libra board. So we're trying to do it again this year. We did not manage to solo mine a block, but it was actually a really cool event. I think it came together. D++ made us a really awesome dashboard. We live streamed the whole thing. We had lots of it goes for like 8 hours, so it's like an 8 hour live stream while we're just sort of getting people to donate hash rate. And regarding the nice hash thing, I think it all started because Brains launched a service called Hash Power,
I've seen that.
which is, just a place where you can go and buy hash rate. And Brains was kind enough to promote the telehash on their Hash Power website. And then I think Wrigley, which is also another place where you can rent hash rate, they got in on the game. And so they were pointing us some hash rate and then also encouraging people to buy hash rate from them and point it to the telehash.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a bit of a, like during the telehash, there was a bit of a battle, I think, between people renting on Wrigley and on Brain's hash power. We actually bought all of the hash rate on Wrigley, which was kind of funny.
What is Wrigley?
Uh, Wrigley.io. Let me double check that. Yes, Wrigley.io. Buy hash rate to mine Bitcoin. So you can, buy hash rate for Bitcoin and point it to whatever, pool you want.
Never heard of that service before.
Yeah. They're they've been around for a while. I think they were doing some Stratum V2 development a while back. It seems to be, one of the smaller ones, obviously, because during the telehash we like sold them out. They didn't have any uh, they didn't have any hash rate more to offer. In fact, people were attempting to buy hash rate, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have any. We'll give you some as soon as we do." Uh, but so nice hash during the whole telehash, the like 8 hours that we were doing this was silent. And then on the next day, which we actually still had the telehash pool set up, which was run on Hydropool, by the way. They were like, "Oh, we want to donate too." So they actually sent over an exahash, um, but only for like 20 minutes. Uh,
Yeah.
it was cool to see that the Hydropool supported it,
Mm-hmm.
and all the workers uh, could could connect and send over the hash rate. So that was a nice test, but unfortunately we didn't solo mine a block even with that. But yeah, it was still a great event. I think it was a lot of good publicity for the 256 Foundation. We talked a lot about the projects that have been working on over there. We talked about the projects that are going forward. We officially announced that myself and Tyler Stevens of the Hashrate Heat Punks are joining the board of the 256
Congratulations.
Foundation. Yeah. Yeah. This has kind of been, we've been sort of working behind the scenes on that for a while, but now it's official. So excited to work on that and basically raise some money for open source mining development. We also talked about the fact that OSMU has partnered with the 256 Foundation so that donations to OSMU are now tax deductible in the U.S. and other countries that honor U.S. nonprofits. So I think this will be good for OSMU too, so that people who want to donate can write that donation off on their taxes. And I guess, regarding some of the drama that happened with donations to OSMU before, nonprofits are required to, every year with their taxes, publish their books essentially. So there will be transparency there as to what donations came in. Of course, they can still be anonymous, but yeah, sort of what money comes in, what money goes out.
Oh, that's
That'll
really
all be
great
public.
to hear.
What's that?
I said that's really great to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be good. I mean, one of the things that has to happen when you have a nonprofit is you have to file state and federal taxes. And there's a great team over there. Satoshi Pacquioli is a Bitcoin focused accounting firm, and they are on board with the 256 Foundation. So they're sort of handling all that. And, paying taxes sucks, but it's got to be done. And then with that will come the transparency that I hope people were after. I mean, I don't think that the people who are FUDing OSMU were actually after transparency. They just wanted to FUD OSMU. But, at least now they'll have so they'll have some transparency to look at.
I mean, that's really great. And especially for the people who are interested, or especially companies who are interested in donating to OSMU to keep up thriving that all of these manufacturers worldwide can produce new, cool, hot open source stuff. They can now actually also donate over there and receive a receipt for that, so they can use that for tax thingies, however that works.
Yeah, right. You can, you as soon as you donate in any amount, you can donate in Bitcoin. Obviously, it goes through Zapright, which is a company that handles all that. Shout out to Zapright for providing that service to the 256 Foundation, and then you can get your receipt, and it'll have, Actually, that's an important point. So when you donate to 256 or OSMU via the links we have posted, there's a form, and it asks for name, address, all that stuff. That is, of course, all optional. Whatever you put in there will be on your receipt. So if your tax setup or your company requires your receipt to have your name and address, you can go ahead and put it in there. If you want to remain anonymous, that is fine. That might be a challenge come tax time, but that is totally up to you. So don't get worried. All those fields with KYC are totally optional.
Well, I think we should give out a little bit of a tour of what's going to happen today. I mean, obviously, the big foot in the room or whatever in the door. I don't know how you would tell
The
this.
elephant. It's the elephant,
Elephant
in
in the room. All right, yeah. My English not the best from the yellow. Anyway, trying to be some idiotic jokes here. There's a new update out for all of the NodeX devices, which I just covered today on my YouTube channel, which is fantastic. It finally offers TLS for the people on the NodeX devices as well. So this is really fantastic. And of course, a couple and a ton of other features and improvements. So I do see PMAX is here in the crowd. Thank you, man, for publishing this release today. It's fantastic to see that. And as Ben is writing in the chat, protect your privacy and use TLS. Yeah, definitely, 100%. It is a proper way of making sure that you do keep your privacy as good as possible, especially if you're in a country where it's known that ISPs sniff on your traffic or what else. Using TLS is a mandatory thing to use. It should be the standard. Well, in Bitcoin, it's not the standard, but we're getting there. Maybe, hopefully. We need to. Apart from that, there are also a couple other topics that I want to talk about. And I wrote an announcement today that I want to talk about a topic which is kind of urgent, I think. A couple of things have happened already in the background about that. And I mean, you know us guys, usually we try to be as polite as possible to every other project out there that is doing its thing. And there are many projects out there that are ripping off everything that we do and whatever else. We don't want to, or we will never shit talk about them apart from calling out these obvious things. But the latest thing that is going on there, which I think just needs a little bit more talk about, is all of these tiny, teeny, tiny devices that so many people out there getting because they do believe it's a great thing to use and to check out, and they claim they do have actual mining capability. Well, I'm not talking about NerdMine as this project. I'm talking about the projects that arose out of that. We do, or most of us do know them. They claim to have tremendous increased hash rate values, etc. Some people claim, well, they have hardware improved hashing on the CPU, etc. Things don't really add up, but the most scary thing about this device or these devices, and I'm talking here about NM miners, is that they do have this remote update functionality. I mean, maybe some of you do have these devices. I don't. I wouldn't trust such a device at all in my network, but some of you do have it, and I think it is needed to talk a little bit about that because recently there were a
Yes.
couple of things that arose in the community all around, and the elephant in the room here is basically that it appears to be that, for one, they have this default address, and like a lot of people have never changed that. But the biggest thing here is that I now have seen a couple of responses and comments on YouTube videos, etc. Is that people do claim that after the latest update, their Bitcoin mining address and the pool they use on these devices have changed. Which,
Yes. That I mean, this is like compounding sketchiness, right? The remote update thing or the automatic update, whatever you want to call it, thing is just really sketchy.
to be clear here, and don't confuse the people who are listening to this and think, well, hey, my NerdX also does have an automatic update. It's a manual automatic update. There's a difference. Like, you can audit the firmware for the NerdX devices, and it will connect to the server from GitHub and pull the source. It is not a push update for all of these shitty miners there, these closed source scam thingies out there. It's a total different story. Like, you don't even touch it. It does things in the background. You don't even know what it is doing. Like, I mean, I would, maybe I need to set up a network and check out what this device is actually doing in terms of traffic and trying to figure out what it is actually doing. I mean, you don't know if you just buy a device and think everything is good and now it does automatic updates and you think like, wow, that's so convenient. But out of a sudden, like, yeah, your mining address changed. Oh, and your pool changed. Oh, interesting. And that's the thing, like, developer Algo's writing it in the chat. Never ever trust any software that is not open source. Don't care how good it is. It's a shame. I mean, it's this double-sided sword that we are living in these days. On the one hand, like, all of these people using iPhones and Androids and what else, and yeah, you cannot audit the source code. Yes, I know. But that's not what we're trying to fix here. What we're trying to fix here with Bitcoin, and especially Bitcoin mining, is we're trying to change the ecosystem or the commercial system that we do use, and we're trying to replace it with Bitcoin. Like, how dare are we to go out there and do that and then use something that we cannot even audit? Like, I don't trust banks. You cannot audit banks. You can only rely on the reports from someone else. Think about it. The gold reserves, probably 90% of them are scam. Like, reserves, I don't trust that. Like, you go to your bank, you try to withdraw, I don't know, 50K dollars. You can't do that without a permit or anything else, or like a reasonable cause why you need that money. Like, the heck, it's your money. Why do you need a reasonable cause? So if you're trying to change that with Bitcoin and you're glorifying it, that Bitcoin is the change, why the fuck are you using closed source shit that you cannot audit? I get it, it's a toy. These nerd miner projects, they are for educational purpose. People are saying, well, there is a potential to mine a block. Yes, there's also a potential that I will be struck by a lightning right now and die. Didn't happen.
Yes. Yes. Ben is right. Note your bank deposits are legally loans and no longer your money. I mean, I think that's what the banks want to hide from you. But uh, that, when your money is in the bank, it's not your money anymore. And they don't want to have you do large deposits because they, in all likelihood, don't have the money. It's been used for something else. So their biggest fear, I guess, is a bank run. So we've seen it, even in the United States. Obviously, in other countries we've seen it, but we've seen it in the United States where if there's some worry about the bank's financial status, people go to withdraw their money and they'll just turn it off. Like you can't withdraw anything, for a while. And in other countries, when they have rapid inflation or political turmoil, they'll just turn it off. And in a lot of cases, people never get it back. So this is one of the things that Bitcoin fixes. And so don't use products and things on top of Bitcoin that sort of give up that freedom. Don't cede that freedom that Bitcoin intrinsically gives you uh, to get some flashy new toy on it. It's just not worth it. And I think even with a miner where the firmware is open source, if you have a setup where it can sort of automatically update its own firmware, you do run the risk that it can get changed, right? It's like, oh yeah, it's open source, but then is the new update open source? Have you had a chance to verify it? Like, I think that's what we've seen in this nerd miner case, or sorry, the NM miner case, is that the firmware was good, and then there was an automatically pushed update, and it wasn't good anymore. And so you're giving up that control and that self-sovereign like freedom. One of the things that makes Bitcoin so amazing and Bitcoin mining so amazing, you're just giving that up. And I don't know, because you saved a little bit of money on your NM miner, it's just not worth it. Don't do that. Don't compromise your home network with that sketchy ass device.
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, companies these days, they just upload a file and tell everybody now we're open source. We do see that with Canon. We see that with lots of other devices and companies. They just upload one or two files and now they call themselves open source. Well, they're either stupid or they assume you're stupid, and the latter might be right. So,
Probably both. Yeah.
or both, yeah. It's kind of, it's this weird position that, or this weird behavior that's happening all day long, and I don't really get it. Like, I do get it if we talk about the economical terms and everything else. People don't care about open source, apart from hopefully these people who are today here, and to all these other people who are contributing and doing and just enjoying what is happening with open source things in general. I'm not just talking about open source minus United. I'm talking like open source generally. But when we're talking about the financial and commercial part, 95% of all the people will always choose the device that is cheaper. They don't even care. So, should we fix that? I don't think so. But what is really important and necessary is to talk about these things, to give a space for that or room to discussion, to talk about things that are going wrong. And we do see this like over 1.5 years now with all of these devices that are cloning our firmware or trying to rip off other things from other people. There are clones basically for all of these open source miners out there these days. We've basically given away the holy grail, and now everybody can do whatever they want, which is fine. We enable more people to do what they want, to be self uh, self in their way what they want to do with these devices. But it also opens up, obviously, the room for scammers and for people who are trying to do shady things and sell you the nicest golden nugget they can find. And well, if you are just this following sheep that's going out there and trusting everything and don't try to validate stuff, and yeah, I don't know, like it kind of sounds sketchy. Hey, purchase my device. It's a Bitcoin miner, and you get automatic updates. You don't need to do anything. I'll take care of it, but you need to purchase a license, and that's kind of weird.
It's super weird. It's super weird. And to that comment of like, why don't we make an open source NM miner firmware? The NM miner hardware is not open source, but there already is an open source version of it. It's called the Nerd Miner. So, and that has an open source firmware. So I think we've already done that.
I mean, it was super weird. Like, people were claiming, or the biggest thing that dragged people into it is the improved hash rate that they do see on these devices. And I don't know, a friend of mine just sent me over a device from a different company, but it was sort of a knockoff of a knockoff of a knockoff. And it was like reporting, I don't know, 20 mega hashes on this tiny device. And I was kind of suspicious. I I just sniffed the packet that this thing was sending, and all it was doing was sending over the same job over and over and over and over again, like 6, 7, 10 times the same job. And like, obviously, if you send over the same job 10 times, the first will be accepted and all the other ones will be rejected. And initially there were an error on the pool which was fixed back in the days on public pools. So this one has been fixed a long time ago, but it would report this higher hash rate, so people could actually go out and scam people with just fake hash rate. So you cannot be. No, I need to put that in a different perspective. You cannot think about all of the ways that people are trying to scam you. It is literally insane. You think you know all the ways that can go wrong? Trust me, there's another one that can also go wrong. Don't trust me. Verify it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this stuff has become very popular over the last 2 years, like very, very popular. And I think that it's going to attract, I mean, it's attracting scammers. It's attracting knockoffs, people who want to cash in on that hype and go after people who don't have time to or just aren't as well informed, and just take advantage of them. And that is clearly what NM Miner is. They're just trying to get in on this hype and take advantage of people who don't know any better. It's really unfortunate, but this isn't exclusive to Bitcoin mining. Obviously, this happens in nearly everything. So yeah, just you got to be careful out there, especially in this sort of permissionless, decentralized world. Not everyone has your best interest in mind. So if they're,
Well,
if they're not willing to share the source, especially in, little CPU miner type devices, it's like, well, what's going on there? Why don't they want to share the source? Because
yeah.
they're doing something sketchy. I think that's highly likely. Gotta don't trust, verify.
Well, it's this frustrating thing that you need to talk about. I mean, I do get it. A lot of people are hyped for that. Previously to the Bitaxe, there was only like the Gecko Science USB sticks that you can purchase as like a kinda small purchase amount of money for getting into hash rate and getting into Bitcoin mining. But these days, you can build these things for less than $80. You can purchase these things for less than $80 worldwide, mostly. Some are a little bit more expensive, others aren't. And these days, it's probably just a price competition happening all along. But it's getting so weird that people are just like, oh, cheaper, 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 cheaper. I don't care. Cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. Like, yeah. At some point, you wonder why it is so cheap. You wonder why
Yeah,
this default address is
there's a really
pointing to a
interesting.
specific pool.
Yes, that's right. That's a huge red flag. If it's tied to a specific pool,
Yeah.
run away. That's messed up. It will not end well. That is an
There's currently
immediate
going
red flag. You should
investigation.
throw that thing in the garbage.
There's currently an ongoing investigation at a couple of these devices. And it appears to be that there is some sort of a clue tied to that, especially tying specific devices to specific pools. It takes a
Yeah.
little bit more time, but it will be revealed sooner than later.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking space heaters, there seems to be a strategy in Bitcoin mining space heaters where the manufacturer is going to offset some of this cost of what would be a very expensive space heater by taking some of your Bitcoin mining profits. It's an interesting idea initially, but I think the way it usually plays out is they have to lock the pool to theirs, right? Because you don't own your device, right? Right? They need to get some of that mining revenue from it in order to offset the cost, and so they have to lock it to a pool. I get it. I get the idea. I just think it's sketchy. I certainly wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, that's
And there's another thing. Yeah, buy cheap, buy twice, like Clea says. There's an interesting discovery that we made recently. Ben was telling me about it, where you can have, a BM1370. That's the chip that's in the Gamma and the Nerd QX plus plus. You can have a BM1370. It's like official. It's a real one, but not all BM1370s are created the same. In fact, some of the newer ones, like out of the S21 XP or the S21 Plus, I think it is, they're just much lower hash rate chips. So if you're buying your Bitaxes or whatever from a less reputable manufacturer that isn't testing these things, they're like, oh, we slapped a BM1370 on it. It's good. Here you go. It's a little bit cheaper. Well, it just won't hash as much. Your hash rate will be dramatically lower. So, yeah, I mean, if it's really cheap, you have to ask why, right? It's not like someone is just accepting less profit, right? They've
I do.
extracted
While
some
you're
cost
talking
out of
about this, I do remember it probably a year ago. I was in contact with a Chinese seller of ASIC chips, and I was like, well, I need this specific ASIC chip, and I need like 100 of them for testing. But before you do send them, please send me a test report with pictures. And all they did was taking a multimeter and measuring the internal resistance. I was like, are you fucking me? Like, I'm not purchasing them from you. Like, what the freaking heck? Like, you could see
Yeah,
solder all over the place. And then they're just like, oh, it's 0.8 resistance internally. It's fine. It's good. It's working. Like, no, like, I don't trust that. And
yeah, right.
that's also
That's
coming
like
to
a
the
red
second
flag
thing.
too.
Like, we have put out all of these things, which opens up this room for all of these uneducated people to go out there and do these things, and they think, yeah, I can just start up my manufacturing and everything else. Yes, indeed you can, but how good is going to be the quality? What kind of quality can you provide? And it's kind of, I do like to point it out as like this double-sided sword. It's the same for mostly all of the things that have been come out from this community, like from PMax, what he's doing with all of his devices, from all of the BitX devices. Like, just purchase. if it happens to be that you do have a lot of money around and you want to spend it on something that is totally stupid, just purchase like 10 Bitexes from 10 different manufacturers. Go out there and purchase 10 NerdQX++ from 10 different merchants. You will see dramatic differences. It's insane.
It is. It is. I mean, like anything, you can make like massively different quality and product, right? And especially because it's an open source decentralized product, like it's free. It's relatively easy for anyone to manufacture. It looks just like a Bitaxe. When it turns on, it says Bitaxe, but there is a lot of varying quality that you can do when you build this. So you just have to take that into account. And also that Bitaxe Direct website. Have you seen that thing?
What is that?
Oh, Bitaxe.direct. It's a website. It's a straight up scam. Like, it's a very nice looking website. They've got the Bitaxe logo. It says open source on the webpage.
Oh,
Someone needs to figure out how to take this down, but they will just straight up take your money. They do not send Bitaxes. So
have you tried to purchase from them?
I have not. I have not, but I've heard from several people on Twitter who are like, yeah, I got nothing. The domain is bitaxe.direct.
Yeah, don't chill that, man. Stop doing that.
Yes, bitaxe.direct, known
my goodness.
scam.
Hey, we need to peep that out.
Well, I mean, I think we need to call it out because it is a very nice looking website. It looks very official. In fact, at the very top, they have the Bitaxe logo and it says official store.
What the
That's a red flag right there, right? We do not have official stores. There are no official stores.
It's the
of the
same thing
Bitaxe
for
project.
Bitaxe.de. Like whenever I do go around or when I'm on any events, like people are, oh, you're from Bitaxe.de. I'm like, well, no, what the fuck? Like they do have also like an official sticker on their webpage, while the company behind that does not even exist. It's not a registered company. Initially, like for the first quarter or 3/4 of a year when this website was launched, they used the mobile phone number of a different company who's actually legit and selling like all sorts of miners. They just used their
Oh my
mobile
gosh,
number.
really?
Yes. And
Oh,
people
that's
were calling
bad.
them, hey, where's my miner? Like, who the heck are you? We don't have you in our accounting system. You never
Right, and then
purchased
they got to
something from
waste all
us.
this time like trying to find you as a
Yes.
customer, and
Insane.
that's
Like
so
these
frustrating.
scammers are insane. I mean,
I mean, that's a pretty good red flag, right? Like, if you see a Bitaxe seller that claims they're an official seller, just run.
mm,
Like, there are no official sellers. So if they say it, they're lying. Um, yeah, reputable sellers will not say they're an official seller. They know that doesn't exist. It's not true.
I think we need to let this sink in a little bit. But yeah. uh, PMax, I do see you down there in the crowd. Are you interested in coming up on stage and talking a little bit about your new release from today? To give us a little bit positive vibes in here? If you're not interested, I just will go over them. Let's try it. Hey, there we go. Seems like you're muted.
Hello?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah,
Hello.
it's probably the first or the second time I ever used the voice chat.
It's good to have you here, man.
Hi, hi. You wanted to hear something about the new release? Yeah. There's not so much to say. So The first that is now available is the TLS support. It's actually a great thing that many pools already are switching to TLS. I always wondered why it took actually so long, and I'm not sure if does Bitcoin Node actually support TLS already, because it's something I have been wondering a long time why they don't.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like if they don't already support TLS, we should really figure out how to get, Umbrel, Start9, et cetera, to support TLS out of the box.
Yeah, but that's really weird actually to not support TLS as a Bitcoin node. So yeah, I don't know. But I heard that they are working on it. So I don't know. And another big update we have is the new experimental dashboard. It looks very nice. I've
Yeah,
done nothing
I,
on it, so it's
I
not
would like
not
to
my.
ask. I like to ask something about this new experimental dashboard. Like, what's the goal of that?
To look nicer and to work better.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's yeah. And I actually haven't done anything on it. It was all the Andreas, the it is Baggerfahrer from Osmo, and he spent a lot of time on it, and really a week plus or so. And the first PR was like 2,500 lines extra code. So no,
Oh my goodness.
I don't review it. It's way too much. And so we thought about, and it's actually working well. So I said, yeah, we can merge it as experimental dashboard, and I don't even look at it. When it works, it works. Yeah, so we have done this, yeah, yeah. And
So
he also.
is the
Yeah.
experimental dashboard on by default, or do you have to do something else to enable it?
It's not on per default. You have to check a checkbox on the settings page, but it looks it actually works. I've been running it on my own devices, and I've not seen any glitches or weird things. So it could be that we just make it the default dashboard in the next upcoming release. Yeah.
It's good. It's a little bit cleaner. It's not too much of a changes, but it's cleaner, and I do like the improved design when it comes to the design of the statistics table or the graphs. Basically, that's looking really
Yeah, there's
great.
actually, actually, I have to admit it doesn't look like it was much of it was how to say. It looks different. It has the pills on the left and right, but there's so much magic in the background that's working to um that's very surprising how much extra code it actually was, because it looks like you just change a style, then you have, I don't know, the filled graph or so, and you put some pills, maybe 5 lines of code or so, but it's a lot more than that. And that was very surprising, because it's really a lot of code. Um, but it just works. Yeah. If I recall it correctly, it also has some code for the pills on the right that show the temperature. There's code that prevents overlapping them, and such little details and glitch filters and whatever. There really a lot of thought into it. Yeah, and yeah, it just works. It looks nice. So I like it. I like it really much. Um, yeah, and what he also worked on was the improvement on the system log page. So you can now download log files directly from the system log, and they're, oh god, I don't know if I can pronounce it correctly. They can be anonymized on the download, so you can directly share it without disclosing any Bitcoin addresses or IP addresses or whatever that could give a hint who you are. Yeah, so that's very good for debugging purposes. And also a long-standing issue is hopefully fixed. That was the problem of the web UI unavailability issues, where people reported after 3 days or 4 days or so they can't access their web UI anymore. And I was finally able to reproduce the issue, and it was actually just a single line of code that was missing that closes the WebSocket when you leave the page. So yeah, hopefully it's now fixed forever. Yeah, and that's more or less all from my side. Yeah,
It's really great.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds like an awesome update. It'd be cool to get some folks who especially understand the front end stuff to review the code. Get some more eyes on it.
Yeah, front-end development is something that we are a little bit lacking, I think, in this industry here, for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, I think there's a lot more people to understand, not necessarily in OSMU, but just in general, right? A lot more people to understand the front end web development stuff versus like the lower level firmware. So yeah, I mean, hopefully some people get some eyes on it. Get some testing underway. I'm sure you've done lots of testing on it, sounds like, but yeah, both testing and reviewing the code and improving on it. That's how we win. That's the exciting part about doing all this.
100%.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing with us the details of that update. It sounds really neat. I'm going to get it loaded up on mine.
I mean, to be honest, I need to say I do like it a lot that you can just automatically update and to the GitHub version, which you can verify.
Yeah. I mean, I think you made that point earlier. There's an important distinction between, click a button and it automatically updates the firmware versus you don't click a button and it just sort of like one day just updates your firmware without you doing it. I think that's an important distinction. And, it gives people the option, if they want, to review the code of the update before doing it. Whereas if the firmware just connects to some server and updates it, while it's sitting unattended on your desk, you don't really have that option to review what the update is before running it.
Yeah, that's quite a thing. I mean, you always want to be able to actually audit it, or at least to have the option some way or the other.
At least to have the option, right? Because, I'm fairly certain that this is not the case with PMAX, but with others, they could just one day decide to have a malicious update, and you don't really it's just too late, right? Like once it automatically updates, you already have the malicious update. And I know a lot of people just run these devices and have it on their shelf in their house and forget about it. So if it just automatically updates and it's a malicious update in one way or another, like you don't really have the chance to fix it. You might not ever even notice it. I do think that manual step of saying I want to update the firmware is important.
Yes.
So it won't just happen without you knowing, and you have the ability to decide if that's an update you want to do or not.
Well, let's see. PMX, you want to say something?
one thing. Yeah, I wanted to the one-click GitHub update. I saw on YouTube that there are still many people who share the screen on YouTube and show, yeah, you have to click here on the legacy flash select file and flash updating. That's a little bit weird that people still prefer the old legacy update. instead of just using the new one with just a single click. Maybe there should be a button where you could manually upload the exact same file that is downloaded from GitHub in the backend, so people can be sure that they install what they think is legit or so. I don't know, but
I mean, maybe a SHA
it's really
verification.
surprising that people still. Yeah, I already thought about, but you can fake it on the firmware, so it's your firmware. So
Yeah.
no, so there's sure I could show some SHA 256 checksum, but it could be faked. Nobody knows.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, that's the tough part with like validating a checksum is it's like, are you validating against the real checksum or not? Right? It's pretty easy to fake.
yeah
It gives
yeah
people maybe a false sense of security.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the benefits I would say of sort of downloading the files and then updating with those is that you can update to different versions. I know that in testing I use that a lot. I think developers use that. It's just I know on OSMU here, like oftentimes WantClue will say like, "Hey, try this version," when we're debugging something, and he'll just send me essentially the firmware binary file, and then it's just really easy to update through selecting which file I want to use.
I mean, I've heard it from a couple of people
Yeah,
who are confused about this update version that is there, or your legacy update version on the Linux devices. I mean, I do get it. Like if you download the files and then there's another update and you download the files again, then they will be named, I don't know, esp-minor opening bracket 1 closing bracket .bin. Yes, just delete the old files. But
Yeah,
I
thanks
do
browser
see,
for renaming the file.
yes, I do see this issue, but I mean, yeah, convenience is probably having this automatic update feature, but from every good device that you do use that is like mostly audited or at least genuine, you have this check of you need to press the button to update your firmware. It's not doing that automatically on its own. It's only doing that if the user wants it to update. And having that on the Nodex devices is really nice. It doesn't quite fit into the Bitaxe, at least not yet. We see it's a fantastic feature, and all the other fonts as well. I wonder how many people are using the influx integration.
According to the GitHub issues, a couple of people.
It's good to hear. It's really good to hear.
Yeah, it's not just for me. Actually, some people are using it. Yeah, and also I saw that some people built themselves such crazy dashboards for 4 or 5 miner. So it looks pretty cool. Yeah, but yeah, most people don't use it. Yeah.
It's a little bit nerdy and not that convenient for like newcomers for sure. But well, eventually they will become nerds as well.
That's the hope.
That's
That's
the
the
hope.
hope.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's send them down the rabbit hole. Next thing you know, they'll be sending PRs. It'd be cool to have the code pop up like a terms of service when updating. Like you have to scroll through the entire code and click I accept before it runs it.
You need to scroll at the end and you cannot skip it.
We could have it like you have to put it into Chat GPT, like all the code, and be like, what has changed here? Make no
Please
mistakes.
audit the changes. It would be so
I
annoying.
mean, if people are doing that, like, great. Like, that's better than nothing.
I mean, speaking about these shady things, I need to admit I did one shady thing last year where I was pushing code into the source code for making it snow on your dashboard over the Christmas season.
Which
This
was
was
awesome, by the way.
this was especially not in the release notes for this particular reason, because I wanted the people to take a look on the Bitaxe during Christmas. At least that's what I had for hopes. Some of them did, some of them loved it. So yeah, I might be a little bit shady there on that part, but I think it's okay. So
And I was pleased to see that a couple people noticed ahead of time. There was some
yes,
talk about it on OSMU, so that's good. People are paying attention. We like this.
that's really good. Yeah, for sure. Can we indicate on the update page the correct order of updating? As an example, web UI first, firmware second. I still see people still update that in wrong order, which could cause a failure. It's not really causing a failure. The difference there is, especially for the Bitaxe devices, if you upload the ESP-minor firmware binary first, it will cause a reboot for the device. But sometimes people are just so quick, they click on update web UI, but the device is not rebooted. And then this could cause issues. That's the reason why a couple releases ago we changed the order how you read it. I mean, I'm in Europe, I read from left to right, so the left one is the first one. That's why we moved the update web UI to the left and the update firmware to the right. It's not a major change, but it's a change to the eye. And with that, we had way less difficulties with people having trouble on updating them because now they are updating both files more. We were still thinking about merging everything into a single file, or we were thinking about that, but as soon as AXWell OS came out and it does have a members channel in here, we decided to leave it in the way it is currently. Yes, a single binary would improve a couple of things, but it would eliminate projects like AXWell, where you can just swap out your interface to a different one. And I think AXWell is a nice, neat little small project that people like to use, and he did some good job on that. So without that, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, that's right. I think that the catch there is that if you update espminor.bin first, you just wait for it to restart before updating the web UI, but it'll still work. And it doesn't take long to restart.
No, not really.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, people who have done firmware updates before are obviously very used to having it being a single file. And so they can get tripped up. And especially people who've never done a firmware update before can get pretty tripped up by having two different files. I can see the pros and cons to doing it both ways.
Yeah, well. I was I need to start a new topic here. I was lately playing a little bit around with LLMs.
Yeah, what have you been doing?
So I was training a LLM on the entire source code and documentation that we do have around the Bitaxe and NodeX devices. And it's quite fantastic how small you can make these models and still have them accurate if you decide to train them just on a specific single topic. Like this model that I do have is in size 3.3 gigabytes. And you just ask it something, and obviously it only knows from the standpoint when I was giving it the training data. But it's so freaking precise. Like, where the freaking heck can I find this in the source code? Or where is that? Or how do I troubleshoot any issues? Because I was putting in a couple of issues and how to fix them, especially with like power supplies. It's kind of insane how good that works. And I'm thinking about. I spoke about this a while ago. Um, I didn't have the time to finalize and to publish the code yet, but we do have the page bitaxe.help. I want to bring that out there, and I'm thinking about maybe I should just put in an LLM in there with a couple of informations about bitaxe and nodex, and let's see how it works.
That sounds like a great idea to me. I would love to try that.
Developer algorithms writing distill the large language models, you would be surprised. Yeah, it's and even like I mean quantization on these models is kind of insane. and giving them certain active parameters also. It's just you need to be very precise with your prompting then. It's kind of tricky. I mean, from my daily job basis, I'm in need to work a lot with LLMs because I need to train them for other things that we need them there. And it's kind of insane what you can do with them. So I don't know. Maybe when I can finally publish the bitaxe.help page, I can put in an LLM there, a chatbot that we can point people to. Let's see.
That's an interesting idea for projects, right? Too, especially if it can be periodically updated with all the new changes. I mean, we have so many people working on this now that, staying on top of all of that is a full-time job, as I'm sure you know.
I mean, the
So
past
anything
4
that can
weeks,
help.
let alone, it's like it was good. I was taking more or less off. I was not doing anything, like maybe per day or maybe every 2 days. I was checking in for like 1 hour maximum. So I was spending really, really less time on the entire BitX project and everything else. Like I lost track about so many things. It took me an entire week. The last week, I needed the last week to come back up on point on what's going on, what kind of new PRs do we have, what's going on with the issues, what are people talking about in the Discord. It's insane. Like we are moving so fast.
It's true. It's true. We're almost at 13,000 people in this OSMU. It moves really fast.
I'm sorry that I haven't pointed it out here today, but usually for those people who are new in here, I tell them, well, the BitX town halls are here for you to come in, ask questions, check out some news about everything. So if anybody of you down in the audience does have any questions, feel free to ask them. You can either raise your hand and we will bring you up on stage, or you ask your question in the chat. So if you do have anything, feel free to ask them, because these town halls are here for you to be up to date on what's happening, what kind of topics are relevant at the moment, at least what we are thinking is relevant. And if you think another topic is relevant, just post it in the chat and we can have a chat about it.
We should, or I guess I'd like to mention the work that Johnny did on the
Yes, we need to talk
Intel
about birds.
BZM2 chips on birds. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I saw you posted about that in announcements.
Yes. So for everybody who's not on track on that, we talked about the Intel Bonanza chips a couple of times, and there are a couple of data sheets out there, or some people have them, which it's so frustrating. Like you get this data sheet from the manufacturer, which is basically telling you everything you need, but at the same time, it is just confusing you and it needs a lot of time. And Johnny, what a legend. He was really helpful for the very, very first BitX ever out there. And he was yet again really helpful for another version, for another ASIC, the Intel Bonanza chips. These chips are really inefficient in today's terms. They're like 30 joules per terahash. But if everything goes right, they're more or less free. Just the chip, not the components around it, just the ASIC chip. Because they are no longer produced. And as far as I do know, some of them have been distributed to a couple of manufacturers, currently in the US only. But hopefully in the future that will change and other manufacturers can also get their hands on them globally. With that, we hopefully
I think that
can.
will change. I think that will change. I've had some discussions in that regard. We're working
Good,
on it.
good.
The US only requirement, I was not a huge fan of that, but the donor of the chips required it. So we figured it would be better to just do that um, for the first batch. But there will be more batches. There's a lot more of these chips out there.
Why others for BZM2 chips? I don't really understand the question, developer Algo. Yeah, let's quickly switch the topic back again because I quickly want to address this. Damood is asking in the chat.
Wait, let me just round
okay.
up the
Yes.
the BZM2 development. We should get to that about the 800, the GT. But yeah, so regarding the Intel chips, which are the number is BZM2, the part number for the chip. Yeah, they're previous generation chips, but they're available very cheaply, and I think it's a good fit uh, for Bitaxes and small home miners like this. And so I've been working for a while on developing hardware, and I made the Bitaxe Bonanza that had some that basically wasn't going to work. So I made the Bitaxe Birds design, and the Bitaxe Birds design was strictly a development board. It's like, all right, let's just have something that we can bang on and get a handle on essentially the firmware, how to interface with these chips. And yeah, it's difficult. Even having a data sheet for it, it's still really difficult. And so the legend Johnny Nine has been working on it for a while, and he got it hashing. The middle of last week, he got it hashing. He actually pointed it to the telehash in Nashville, which was fantastic. So it's coming along. That that sort of initial source code will be posted here very shortly, so others can follow along if they want. All the hardware design files for the Bitaxe Birds have been posted. I want to make it very clear that this is not like a Bitaxe yet, right? This is not something that the manufacturers can just run with. It is not even a standalone miner at this point. It needs to be connected to a computer, but it's a very exciting development that we've got the chips hashing. I wouldn't say at full hash rate yet. It seems like there's still some work to be done. There's still a couple of bugs to be ironed out in the firmware, but yeah, very exciting progress.
I
Stay
mean,
tuned to OSMU for
it's
more
gonna be good
development
to
on that.
have some fresh new things there. I mean, there are a couple of plebs out there who are also working on other chips, like from MicroBT, the what's miner chips. Some people are working on that. I don't know what the current status of that is, and I do have a
Yeah,
couple of
there's been some developments on that too. Actually, that's coming along. I actually talked with a bunch of people last week about that. There's a lot of excitement there. It seems like access to chips is maybe getting better. Like access to MicroBT What's Miner chips is getting better, so that's always good. Um, it's interfacing with those chips is very difficult, but there are some people who know how to do it, and kind of getting them in the same room with the people that want to do it in an open source way is how this moved forward, and I'm excited to see that that's coming along.
I mean, that's what we're always anticipating. Like, yes, there's a huge threat of having only these manufacturers overseas there, in the Asian empire. But if we can get at least one of them to partially open it up or in a specific way so that it can be used, it's a win-win. Like open source wins in terms of, well, there's new competition in terms of mining hardware that can be used, that can be adapted, that can be put into whatever you want. And then there's also the driving factor for these companies, probably, at least that's what I'm thinking in my silly thinking, they will sell more of these chips. They can produce more. They can get better in quality because they have more money for the next revision, etc., etc.
There's this, I was just at a mining conference and there was a lot of big miners there, but the sentiment is really interesting with a lot of the big miners pivoting towards AI and HPC, converting their data centers over to AI servers.
Mm.
I think we are starting to see the big purchase orders, even potential purchase orders for Bitcoin mining ASIC chips kind of dry up. It seems like, and I think some of the, obviously I don't talk to Bitmain, but some of the others, they're starting to get curious about what we're doing here, and we're seeing a bit of a renewed interest, I think, from some of these other manufacturers of like, hey, these guys are doing good work over here, and they're starting to sell lots of units, right? Obviously, we're not selling like lots yet, but I think the promise is showing for what we're doing here, and some of their other, more traditional orders are kind of drying up. So I think the situation is going to be good for open source home mining. Too early to tell for sure, but
Yeah.
It seems promising.
I
I mean, the number of chip manufacturers that have reached out to me seems to be increasing, so that's good.
it's more
These
than
guys
one.
move really slow. They all move so slowly.
Yeah,
So uh, I wouldn't say that this is imminent, but it's going in a positive direction.
which is good. That's what we want. All right, do you want to quickly address the topic about the 800XXX versions?
Sure. Yeah. The Bitaxe Gamma Turbo, which is known as the Bitaxe GT, has been under development for a while. And we had a sneaky bug, a hardware bug, that existed in the 800XXX series. And for those who don't know, I guess it started relatively newly, but if the model number, like 800, if it has an X after it, that means it's a prototype. That means that it's not for release. It is a prototype. And so we did 800X, 800XX, XXX, and actually 800XXXX. And what that was going through is trying to solve an issue with the dual voltage regulators. This was kind of the first Bitaxe design that had two TPS 546D24 voltage regulators on it. And they have I guess what I found out is a very complicated method of syncing the two phases on those voltage regulators. And there was a hardware bug. It's intermittent, but it was definitely there. And I made a mistake in that we merged support for 800 into the release ESP miner. And I think that kind of gave people the indication that this was ready to go and it was working. And so a lot of the less reputable manufacturers, in my opinion, decided to start building and selling 800X versions of the Bitaxe GT. And it sucks because those if they use that design, it has a bug. I can't control what manufacturers do. That's how this project works. You can kind of just do what you want, but you're going to have, if you have an 800XX, you probably have this hardware bug in there, which is really unfortunate for the people that got it, thinking it was ready to go, that it was working. So those are not up to they're not up to my quality standards, that's for sure. They're not up to, I think, several people here as quality standards. We don't want to have Bitaxes out there that are just going to not work. So the fix was prototyped in 800XXXX, that's 4 X's. And then it was released in 801. And so in order to support these hardware fixes that were in 801, the firmware support for the GT got changed. And that kind of broke support for the earlier prototypes, if that makes sense. I don't think it's reasonable to continue supporting the broken hardware, the prototype hardware in ESP Miner. That seems like a bad way to get this out there and have people that have these prototype hardware devices to have it supported by the firmware, because you can't just fix the hardware with a firmware release in this case. So that's why we decided to basically in ESP Miner only support 801. I guess if you've got one of these prototype hardware, 800XX versions out there, and you have a firmware version that supports it and it hasn't crashed, good for you. You got lucky. I wouldn't update your firmware. I would just stick with that. I mean, maybe you can talk to the seller. I've heard in some cases sellers are fixing this problem. So you could try contacting them and be like, hey, what's up? I got prototype hardware. Can I exchange this for the real thing? Maybe that will work. Maybe it won't, depending on where you got it. But yeah, what we're moving forward with supporting on the GT is the 801.
I mean, that is the reason. I mean, PMax was also pointing it out in the chat. Is this was the GT was probably the last one from we did it with the Gamma, we did it with the Supra, and now with the GT as well. But the GT was kind of this weird thing where these manufacturers thought it might be good, and they just started producing a prototyping version, despite the fact it was like big fat printed in the repository. Don't manufacture them. It's
I mean,
prototype
I
unit.
tried to make it really clear, guys. Like, I tried to make it really clear that this is prototype hardware, and
It was the
like I
very
said, I can't
first
control
word.
these people, and the hype for Bitaxe has grown significantly since the Gamma was released. So I think that these less reputable manufacturers are just like, oh, we can get out early and start selling these, but it's like it doesn't work. And Damut, to answer your question, um, it is very likely that the 800X, all the 800X series ones, the voltage regulator will just shut down. It is a hardware bug. It can be triggered after 1 hour, 10 hours, or potentially more. It's not firmware related. It is a design issue with the PCB. So yes, I mean, it is very likely that hardware will just experience this bug where the voltage regulator shuts down. And if the voltage regulator shuts down, you're not mining anymore, and it's just not going to work.
To conclude my sentence there, I was about to say that, as PMax pointed out, like this will force us, or this now brought us up to that any future coming device and design will not be in this open source sense of like from the very get go to we have the first working prototype will be publicly available, because we want to prevent that. What happened here? Like we there are other designs out there that we're working on, but we cannot yet publish them and put them at public, which is so unfortunate because like we live of that we can share it with people and make sure that we get as much input as possible from all sorts of kinds. But in order to prevent like manufacturers going out there and manufacturing a design, if it is based on the design that we have published, which does have flaws, and sell that to people, we need to make the repository private and only make it public if we have a working unit, which is so unfortunate because it locks out a lot of people.
I want to push back on that a little bit. I don't want to give into this, pressure to keep things secret, right? I want to develop in the open. I think that is one of the things that made the Bitaxe so successful, is that new people could come along and see what we're doing and get in and start working on it. I very much don't want to shut that off. I still want to develop in public, and even the hardware too. I do think it is important to publish the designs for the prototypes as we're working on it, and I want to continue to do that. But I do, like what you're saying, I do want to take steps to make it more difficult for manufacturers who, who are just cloning this stuff without giving a shit about what's going on, to do that. One of the things that I want to do is we won't publish the Gerbers for prototype designs.
That's just a two-click button.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but it means you have to open it up in KiCad and generate those Gerbers for yourself. It's not as simple as just downloading the Gerbers and sending it off for manufacturer. Obviously, it's easy to get around that. I hope that'll reduce some of the least reputable manufacturers, you know what I mean, who just don't even look at it at all, just like download Gerbers, send to fab.
Maybe we need to put onto the PCB like a big fat prototype on the silk screen.
Yes, right.
Yeah, fuck it, let's do that.
Yeah, there's a good point. The Chinese don't use KiCad right there, so they won't even be able to generate
eggs.
Gerbers.
Yeah, that's a good one. Kryptonite, that's a really good one. Proto eggs.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe we won't have like the logo on it or anything like that. But I don't want to give into this, shitty activity by some organizations, right, to sort of stop the open source sort of decentralized way in which we do development. I think that's very important to the project. Obviously, the really early stuff that's not working at all, that might be private, but I do want to kind of incrementally publish, prototype designs. Obviously, they won't be released. We can do everything that we can come up with to discourage people from just making it. But yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to give into that. And I think the other thing, and I kind of mentioned this, but with the GT, I made a mistake in that support for the prototype miner got into a released version of ESP miner. We definitely will not do that again.
Yeah.
We will always support for prototype miners will always be in a branch of ESP miner, a development branch, and yeah, it won't be supported in mainline ESP miner to give people that sort of false sense of it's working. That was a mistake. I totally admit that. Mutachima and I talked about this a bunch. Like, yeah, that was a bad idea. Won't do that again. I think that will.
I think that's a fair
Obviously
trade-off.
it won't stop people from selling prototypes. They can figure it out, but it will mean that you can't use a released version ESP miner on prototypes. And so that will make it difficult for them to sell prototype hardware with released firmware. Yeah, what Sean says.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point to do there, to go on this route. I mean, I was still under the impression that we would go with the private approach there, but that's a fair one to think in that way. And I mean, after I saw all of that, we do have a little bit of code already on PR for the Bitaxe Nudger, but obviously it's not merged in.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah, you and I should be
Yeah, I'm not
on
merging
top
that.
of this.
No.
Yeah,
I have it on my
sorry,
don't
that's my
merge
bad.
list.
Yeah, I will say that the sort of tempting thing to do there is because ESP Miner is obviously getting all kinds of new features all the time. You've been doing an excellent job merging in all that stuff, and so when we have a development version, it's like you kind of want it to stay up to date, so that there isn't a bunch of merging and conflicts and stuff when it's time to release it. But I think we can deal with that as it happens and keep prototype hardware support in a development branch of ESP Miner.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. All right. Do you guys have any questions? Because we're sitting here at 1 hour 20 already, and I think we're coming close to the closing end here. If you don't see any questions, anything else in the chat, or any raising hands, I think we just give you the word again and do a little bit of shoutouts there. Cake or
I guess
pie.
a quick update on some other Goofy projects I've been working on. We have a new version of the Addit board, V2. The Addit board is a USB adapter for Bitmain hash boards. You can check that out. I think that's a kind of exciting project to screw around with. We will be adding support for that to Mujina. That's the open source Linux-based miner firmware from 256. And then sort of in that same vein is Bitcrane. There's a new version of Bitcrane, 3.1.
But it's
it makes it
USB based, right?
Yeah. The Bitcrane is very similar to Addit board, but it basically has 3 connectors for hash boards, and it controls fans, power supply, I2C, and it's a drop-in replacement for an Antminer control board that just makes your whole Antminer into a single USB device. So that hardware is out there. I mean, it hasn't really been released. There's still a bit of testing. Initial tests look good. Again, support for that will be added to Mujina so that you can Yeah, mine to an Antminer. In theory, it should support all Antminers. Um, Again, that hasn't been tested. I've only tested it on a S19J Pro, but electrically, I think it's compatible with all Antminers. I think that'd be pretty exciting. Let's see what else. Yeah, I guess that's it for those little projects. Obviously, the Ember One hashboard is very similar in the way that it uses USB. It's a USB based hashboard, and support for that is already in Mujina. And all these three, Addit board, Bitcrane, and Ember One all use the same USB controller with a firmware written by K1. Thanks for that. I think it's kind of a neat way to actually Bitaxe Birds uses the same one, the RP2040. It's just an interesting way to make USB miners. I kind of like it. It's really fun for prototyping because now instead of flashing firmware to your ESP32 or whatever, you can just prototype stuff like directly from your PC, writing it in Python or Rust or whatever you're into. All right, that's it for those updates there. Let's see, we have any other questions. What about LAN module support? Well, someone's working on that. I've seen a couple people who are working on that. I mean, I guess it's a pretty good use of the Bitaxe accessory port, the BAP. For people who want Ethernet on their Bitaxe. To me, that seems ridiculous, but that's the whole point of these open source projects. You can just do things. So, I would say from me, I don't have any support to add that to Bitaxe or any plans to add that to Bitaxes. I'm not sure if you're asking about any of these other projects, but as far as the Bitgrant goes, we're like essentially removing Ethernet and adding USB. PoE LAN, I think it's doable. PoE's kind of adds a bunch of cost, which I think not many people are going to be.
PoE plus, PoE plus plus, PoE plus plus plus. Which one do you want?
Yeah, right. There's a bunch of them, and they all have different power. I mean, yeah, like K1 says, PoE switches are expensive. Also, to support PoE on the sort of, what do they call it? The power drain. I forget what they call it, but the sort of end device that's powered over PoE, it adds a bunch of cost to that. You need a controller there. Yeah. Huge inductors. There you go. It's going to add a bunch of costs. I don't know in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. But again, like, you can just do things. If you want to hack on that, please do. That'd be cool. PoE Axe, that'd be fun. It's like the uber geeky Bitaxe. What's the best way to minimize scammers from users? Man, it's gonna get. I think someone posted the meme, or Matt, I think posted it back earlier. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. As these projects get more and more popular, which I certainly think they will, I certainly hope that they will, we're going to see more of these scammers, right? They're just like flies to shit, right? They just go for whatever people are into and try and exploit whatever they can. So I think the way to minimize it is education, letting people know that cheap stuff is cheap stuff, getting people to demand open source, to not trust but to verify. Like, just because the website says it's open source doesn't mean it is. Like, if they don't provide a link to the source along with that open source claim, then what the fuck? Why are they trying to trick you? It's
We do have a question from Ninja Kid there. Is the BAP on the 801 going to be the standard for the BAP going forward? Well, the appropriate answer is we don't know. The reason why the BAP on the GT801 is this, what's this flex cable called? Not SFP.
It's a FPC. It's like a flat
FPC,
like ribbon cable.
Yeah. The reason why this is on there is because we have a display. It will be coming out very soon as well.
Yes, that's a good point. That's a good point. I do think that the new connector is going to be the standard. I hope it's going to be the standard. It's a lot easier to manufacture. We added some pins to it, I think, which will be useful for accessories on the BAP. Um, I don't know, standards, right? They're tough. They're tough. We have to keep evolving.
Yeah,
How's it different? Yeah, the physical connection is different.
yes.
It's a smaller surface mount connection. I think we added two more pins to it, if I remember correctly.
So yeah, originally on these standard Bitaxes, we only have like one rail for 5 volt and one rail for ground. And on the BAP for the 801, we do have like two rails of 12 volt, which is needed because these flex cables are so tiny. You need to make sure that the amperature moving over them is enough. So that's why we use
Yeah,
two.
that's a good point. I mean, we
Instead of
on
6, we
the
use 8. Yes, we have two more.
BAP, we always sort of pass through the VN voltage, and on bit axes, that's been 5 volts. We are moving towards a 12-volt standard, so the power connector has changed to prevent mishaps there, and so I think it does kind of work to change the BAP as well because it's a different voltage.
But well, with that, we have a little bit more room to do some other things, and yeah, the one accessory that's coming out for this explicitly is looking beautiful. I do have it running on my desk right next to me.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I think we're gonna make a. It's still too early to tell exactly what the features are going to be, but we're going to make a new gamma as well. The gamma's been out for over a year. We've learned a ton about all the problems. So I would say look for a new and improved gamma, single BM1370 chip miner in hopefully the earlier part of this year. Should be called 810, or sorry, 610.
610, yeah.
610. So that would be cool. Uh, it won't perform better than the Gamma does now, but hopefully be more reliable, easier to manufacture, um, and maybe a couple better, like nice to have features like display and stuff like that. Yes, I love XT connectors too. Man, that's such a better connector. The Barrow connector was always bullshit. Like it worked great for the Bitaxe and the Bitaxe Max. And then I think after that, as the chips start consuming more and more power, 5 volts was starting to look a little bit underwhelming, and the Barrel connector starts to show its faults, of which it has many.
Yeah. I mean,
Will it have better VR temperatures? Yes. So that's one of the things we've learned a lot about is how to effectively cool the voltage regulator. The 810 should have the same voltage regulator. I think we've learned a lot about how that works, both thermally and digitally. So, I mean, the voltage regulator will still operate at the same temperature, but I think we'll be able to more effectively remove heat from it.
I mean, with the through put through the entire PCB, it's gonna be a bit better, especially with having like this dissipation on the back of it. If you
Yeah.
actually attach it in some way or the other, I mean, we could probably use. Maybe we could dissipate a little bit more heat over the entire surface of the PCB with a couple of tricks, but yeah, the current
Yeah, I
way
think
is
so. I
probably
think we
better.
can better route the PCB too. And I mean, people haven't noticed, but we've switched to 6-layer PCBs. Like the the Gamma is a 4-layer PCB, and if you look at the GT, it's 6 layers. So that gives us a bit more room to spread out uh, and to have wider traces, so they shouldn't get as hot.
Yeah.
I think that'll help thermally with the voltage regulator, or just the temperature of the whole board. Yeah. Anyways, lots of learning has happened in the past like year and a half on that design, and some of that stuff has been incorporated into the GT and the Birds and newer miners that have come out since then. But I would like to bring a lot of that learning back to the Gamma because it's still a good little miner, and they still people seem to really like them. It's a nice price point, uh, and yeah, if we can bring that price down, maybe the supply of BM1370s will improve. That actually really sucks right now. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe not.
We'll see.
We will see. Yes, just keep on keeping on.
All right.
Yeah, developer algo, if you've got some specific insights into that footprint, let me know. I know K1 does too. So we've incorporated some of that stuff, but if you have some specifics, please let me know. Again, making those footprints is always a shit show because we don't have any official specs.
All right. I think with that, we will now dive into closing up this session. And
All right, let's go.
yeah, it's your stage again.
All right. Animal with a 1. Good to see you. I feel like you're always here joining us. That's fantastic. Good to see you back. Dread. Is that the Dread that I know? I don't know. I know a guy named Dread. Same name. Maybe it's you. Either way, what's up, Dread? Matt, Solo Satoshi, homie. Good to see you. Good to see you checking in. I know you're busy. A busy man, so we appreciate you joining us. But for those who don't know, Solo Satoshi is an extremely reputable seller. We don't have official sellers, but we do have extremely reputable sellers, and Solo Satoshi is very much one of them. We also have Tommy G from IX Tech. Speaking of extremely reputable sellers, IX Tech is definitely one of them. Both these guys and their companies are doing great work, supporting customers, doing development, right, contributing back to the space. It's very much appreciated. We couldn't do it without you. So thanks for being a badass. McPie, good to see you. McPie is the inventor of Atlas Pool, which is a very performant solo mining pool. So if you're not aware of that, check out atlaspool.io. He's done a really nice job, and I also appreciate your support in how to run performant pools, which is definitely out of my wheelhouse, but it's something that people need to think about. And it seems like he's got it dialed in with Atlas Pool. I think it's got, I don't know what you call them, even like endpoints distributed all around the world, so you can do super low latency connections to his pool, and less rejected shares, stale shares. That's good for mining. That's how we move this forward. Ben, yes, dude, good to have you here. I'm sure he's like feverishly working right now while listening to this podcast, but Ben is a Bitaxe and NerdQX and everything manufacturer extraordinaire and contributor to the project, like the best of both worlds. So shout out to Ben. Everyone knows he's a legend, but I will confirm it. Chris at IX Tech. I was just talking about IX Tech, but you guys are crushing it. Thank you. ComX10 from Solo Satoshi. I was just hyping Solo Satoshi. Good to see both you guys here. Keep up the good work. You guys are crushing it. Let's see who else we got. Developer Algo, of course, the legend, one of the first Bitaxe manufacturers, and a contributor. And I hope you will let me know your thoughts on the ASIC footprint, because we're winging it, right? There's no specs. A lot of times when you buy these parts, you get like a recommended footprint, but we don't have that. We have to just carefully measure it and essentially fuck around and find out. So I have no doubts there's some room for improvement there. Raz, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time, and I hope that we get to hang out soon. I hope you guys are doing good, keeping on making excellent stuff. Actually, we should you should message me. Let's follow up. I want to hear about what you guys are working on. What's going on. Sean, IX Tech again. Man, we got like a posse from IX Tech here. You guys are awesome. That heatsink is amazing. Love it. Bitmaker. Oh my gosh. Also an OG contributor, an excellent dude, and good to see you here hanging out with us. The Nerd Miner continues to be an inspiration to so many people. I'm always hearing about people that like, they get a Nerd Miner and they like catch the bug, right? They want to get into it. And I know you guys are making new stuff, making better stuff, contributing to the Nerd QX project, the Nerd Axe project, making rad stuff every day. Good to see you. Hex Fox, what's up? How are you doing? Maybe you can help us chase down these, I guess, unmentionable sellers that are just scamming people. But also thank you for your XOS work and just staying on top of all the stuff that's going on here and helping make this the fantastic project that it is and making it better. Mutatrum, I heard about your failed Ultra Hex. That is not on loan. That is yours permanently. So I'm sorry that it broke. Let's see if we can get that thing fixed. I do want to like revisit the Hex project. I think it never really saw the light of day, which is unfortunate because it's kind of cool. I know I definitely am interested in doing more sort of multi-chip designs with the chips powered in series. I think that's an interesting thing to evaluate. The level shifters are always pain in the neck. But yeah, we should figure out what went wrong with yours. Let me know. But again, super appreciate all your contributions. I saw all that stuff you've done with the display. That's amazing. That is super amazing. The display on the Bitaxe right now sucks, and I really want to make it better. So hopefully we can level up Bitaxe displays, get out of just those tiny little ones that only display text. I know you've done a ton of work on it. It already looks way better, but we'll keep improving there. K1, genius, absolute legend. I need to talk to you about USB on the RP2040. I think we're seeing some issues when it's attached to a hub. It's really blowing my mind because it's not USB protocol issues. It's like problems with the actual packets. So yeah, I'll be hitting you up. But yeah, obviously, thank you very much for your continued contributions to this space and your amazing technical knowledge that you help us out with. It's much appreciated. Oh my gosh, we got another Solo Satoshi. Kels, hey, what's up? Are you like feverishly packing boxes right now? Or like, I just imagine she's got like it's just this blur of hands like throwing miners in boxes and shipping them out as fast as absolutely possible. I hope you're surviving. I don't know. I love what you do. It's fantastic. Solo Toshi is rad, and you're an integral part of that. So much appreciated. Thank you for joining us. I hope this was a good thing to listen to while you're making magic happen over there. All right. Oh, we got a video from Mutacho. I want to watch this. Oh yes, I've seen this. He's got some rad ASCII art scrolling by on the display, on a bigger display. I got to say, I do love the monochromatic display. Like obviously the display on the Nerd Axes looks fantastic, full color. Bitmaker did an amazing job with that. They look really cool, but I do love kind of the retro cool vibe of the monochromatic display. I kind of think I want to stick with it for the Bitaxe, but just, make it better. So those who are listening later, Muchachram posted a cool like ASCII art version of Bitaxe scrolling by on a slightly bigger OLED. Yeah, that's cool. We're going to do some rad stuff with new displays. Okay. All right. We made it through. Thanks
right.
everyone for joining us. It's been rad having you here. Stay tuned. We're not stopping here.
So maybe some of you want to join into the general chat. Unless that. Thank you guys for being here, and see you again in 2 weeks.